Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to stick to Germany and we're filming once again in Bamberg. I'm visiting my good friend Daniel, who of course I've always said is at fault for me enjoying beer, but not that we're complaining or anything like that. But for this one we are going to go to Berlin and we're trying a beer from a brewery that I've never tried anything from, so that's always exciting. So for this one we are going to go to Heidenpeters and we're having a taste of their Thirsty Lady. So this one comes in at 4.7% and it is an American style pale ale, but the guy in the shop that I bought this from, the Berlin beer shop, he told me that they use a Belgian yeast strain in this one, so I think this should be a really interesting beer to try. Shout out of course to Berlin beer shop and also to my friend Peter over at the Clueless Drinker. He's a huge fan of these kind of new wave German craft beers. He used to review a lot of them when he lived in Regensburg in Bavaria of course, and he still reviews German beer when he can, but I don't think he's reviewed anything from these guys, so yeah, maybe need to take one or two back for him and let him try them. But yeah, it should be an interesting brewery. It's always interesting to review new beers of course, and as always I hope you guys enjoy my take on this one. So anyway, as is usual with my reviews then, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the description below. That's the brewery website, the link to my other reviews that I'll do in the future from Heidenpeters. Very first time I'm trying one of their beers of course. There's all the usual social media. If you want to see more beer reviews, do please consider subscribing to the channel. The whole channel of course has a geography based tagging system, so you can go into the homepage and search for beer based on country, city, state, county, prefecture, whatever it is you're interested in. Do check out the playlist of beers from different countries. There is one there for all the German beers that I've reviewed for you. That's constantly being added to, and as always please do get in touch and let me know some of the other beers and breweries that you guys would like to see me review. It's always great to hear from you guys that are watching the videos, and the support that you show the channel is hugely appreciated. So anyway, on to my brewery notes then. So Heidenpeters Brewery was founded by Johannes Heidenpeter, who apparently is known as the brewer with the cap because he wears this sort of golf style cap all the time, but he bought this from a woman in the Winterfeldsmarkt in Berlin-Schönberg who made caps out of old flour sacks and things like that. But before becoming a brewer, Johannes was actually a visual artist, and most of the artwork that he did was sort of collages and things like this. So he liked using things that he found on the street and putting it into a collage, and he actually graduated from the Kunsthochschule in Berlin as well. But apparently he tried a porter from the Norge Organic Brewery in Bremen, and he was just completely blown away by this, and within an hour or two he said that he bought a book about brewing beer, and then he actually started brewing his own beer. The first beer he brewed was an IPA, and he was just kind of hooked on brewing since then. He let a lot of his friends try his beers. He got some really positive feedback, so he decided to actually start it up as a kind of proper little mini business on the side sort of thing. But he does still have his day job working in an art gallery, but he eventually found a little site for the brewery in Market Hall 9, which is a sort of bio organic sort of food project thing. It's called Beta Essa, I think they said in the article that I was reading. But basically they try and sell it local food, local produce, organic food and all of these kind of things. So he set up his brewery in the basement of Market Hall 9, sorry, my German pronunciation's a little bit but he set up this brewery in kind of basically a small room, and he's brewing somewhere between 1,200 and 1,500 litres of beer per month, and he sells them in the market of course, and they go a little bit further afield to different beer shops and things around Berlin. So yeah, interesting brewery that one. There's not much more to say about them, but yeah, very very new. It didn't actually say what year they started. I think they must have started around like 2015, 2016. I actually couldn't find the start date of this brewery, which was a bit of a thing, but the article I read was from mid-2017 I think, so I guess at that time they must have been going for at least a year, so I reckon 2015, 2016 was when Heidenpeters was founded. So yeah, an interesting brewery. It is always cool to read about these little guys who are supposed to be brewing some very good beer. But yeah, that's all you need to know about the brewery just now. If you want to learn a little bit more, check out the brewery website in the description below. You can follow them on Facebook and Instagram and things like that. They do seem to be quite active on Instagram and Facebook actually, so that's probably your best bet. You can keep up to date with all their latest beers and things like that, but let's get on to the actual tasting of this beer itself. So like I said to you, this one is a 4.7% American style pale ale. The guy in the Berlin beer shop that I went to just near Tiergarten, he told me that they use a Belgian yeast strain in this one. So yeah, it should be kind of interesting. Quite a hoppy Belgian style pale ale. So yeah, it should be an interesting one. It says here, gebraut nach dem Natürlichkeitsgebot. So you can see that there. I'm not sure if it's exactly the same as the Reinheitsgebot. We'll try and get that into the camera. But yeah, as I say, 4.7% American Pale Ale, this one. There you can see Heidenpeters on the bottle cap, and I think that's pretty cool actually that he has this already, even though he's such a small brewery. But without further ado then, let's get this guy out and we'll get on with the tasting. This one should be really interesting, I think. I always enjoy trying these little beers, and German beer of course does tend to be very good quality. There we go. Obviously this one opens the opposite way. So yeah, nice little bit of smoke on the opening, and we'll get it out and into the glass. Daniel very kindly of course lent me his Vehement glass for this review, so we'll see how we get on with this. Pour it slowly. If it's a Belgian yeast, you know, you have to always be careful with the Belgian yeasts because they go crazy when you open the beer up. That should be enough for the moment, but yeah, as you can see with this beer, it's poured a lovely kind of bright yellow. It's maybe even got a little tint of orange to it. You can see there's a solid 2 fingers of a frothy white head, and I can tell from the aroma just that's coming off it, it definitely does have that Belgian yeast strain in there, and you know the head is giving it away as well. But you can see there's a couple of big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass, a few little ones heading up towards the bottom of that head there, and the head in terms of colour, I would say, is pretty perfect white. It's not even creamy, it's a perfect white head that's on this one. But yeah, it looks kind of as you would expect for an American Pale Ale. Quite a hazy one actually. Let's see if we can get the last of the beer into it. There we go. But yeah, pretty much looks as you would expect from an American Pale Ale. So yeah, let's take a closer. Oh, you can see there's a few little bits of sediment in there as well. It's all natural of course, doesn't matter too much. But yeah, as you can see with this one, poured a nice it's poured a lovely colour actually. I do like how this one's kind of coming across. But let's take a closer look at the aroma then and just see how we get on with this beer. Yeah. So with this one, you've got a nice little bit of juicy fruit. It almost smells, I do wonder if there's a bit of Cascade in here. It does smell, the hoppy notes that are coming off this one does smell like Cascade. It's got a little bit of that juicy-ish kind of grapefruit quality. A little bit of a floral aromaticity, not quite spicy, but I do think that there's a little bit of Cascade in there. Yeah, nice little bit of grassy floral aromaticity. Yeah, grassy floral aromaticity, bit of grapefruit. On the yeasty side of things, you've got a nice kind of doughy, bready sort of thing. A little bit of an almost biscuity sweetness as well. But yeah, sort of that nice white bready character, which is lovely. So yeah, it smells very much like one of these Belgian Pale Ale things. It definitely smells a bit lighter than you would expect from an IPA, but as I always say, take a little bit of time and enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But let's have a taste of this one then. So this one is the Thirsty Lady, a Belgian style IPA, or Belgian style American IPA, however you want to say it, from Heidenpeters Brewery in Market-Horn in Berlin. Let's get stuck into this one. Slange, Skull, Prost. Ooh. It's actually a lot more hoppy and bitter than I was expecting that actually. It's got a good little hoppy kick to it, this one. Yeah. It's very, very juicy when you take it in. It's almost got a little bit of that kind of puckering thing that you get from sour beer. It's almost got a little touch of that. But yeah, this is a nice beer this. So let's focus on the malt base first. So you can feel that sort of bready quality, that just blankets the middle of your palate. It's got a little bit of a thicker yeasty doughy thing sitting on top of it, and you can feel some biscuity sweetness, I think, just right in the centre of your palate. As you go further into the aftertaste, I think you're getting a little bit, there is a little bit of a grainy bitterness to this beer too, which is interesting. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer is interesting. I'm still trying to place exactly what's going on. But yeah, I like how this one's kind of coming across. There's definitely a little bit of grapefruit in there with this beer. I do think they've used Cascade in this one to some degree. But yeah, it's quite a simple beer, this one, but in terms of its recipe and stuff, but the way it goes together is very, very good. In terms of the hoppy side of the beer then, back corners of the palate, you've got a nice little bit of earthiness there. As you come further forward, you can feel there's a little bit of a spicy, floral, aromatic sort of thing, and that sort of bodes well. It kind of goes together well with that little grainy bitter note that I was talking about from the malt base. As you go round the front curve of the palate as well, it's a little bit lighter and grassy, I would say. But yeah, the fruity side of this beer is really interesting. So as I always say, the fruity notes come out in that little oily bubble behind the front curve of the palate. And for me, it's got a lot of, you can feel that there's a bit of darker grapefruit in there, just kind of forming the linchpin of the beer, but it comes in and it's very sharp and it's almost like lemon sherbet or something like that. That's the main kind of notes that you're getting out of this beer. And as you go further and further into the aftertaste on this one, like I say, that grainy bitterness from the centre of the palate's coming out, and the spicy floral notes and a bit of the earthiness are kind of pushing out into the aftertaste. It definitely has that sort of Belgian doughy presence to it, this one, but it's really interesting. It just has a little bit of that sharpness to it, but it's a nice beer, this one. It's interesting how it goes together. Like, the yeast can have such an impact on beers, and this one really is kind of highlighting that. So if you like a sort of Belgian style pale ale and a nice bit of kind of fruity sharpness and things like that, this is one that definitely will fit the bill for you. I'd say it's a lemony citrus. That sort of puckering lemony, sharpness you're getting from this one, almost like a sour beer, but you've also got some of that slightly darker grapefruit in there. But this beer is all about how the different kind of flavours go together, and it works well. So in terms of the mouthfeel of this one then, mid-bodied beer, I think. Carbonation is a little bit prickly in this one, which is what you expect when a Belgian yeast strain's involved. The mouthfeel overall, I think it has a little bit of an oily character, but mainly quite a wet mouthfeel. Nice little bit of hoppy bitterness to this one. I would guess around... Sorry about that, guys, camera was being temperamental. So like I was saying with this one, nice little bit of hoppy bitterness, around 50, 60 sort of IBUs. Now the malt base has an interesting mix between, it's got a little bit of sweetness there, but I'm finding mainly it's leaning towards a little bit of a sort of grainy bitterness, and then the fruitiness, it has a little bit of that almost sour beer sharpness to it, but it's got a nice little bit of juicy quality even as you go further into the aftertaste. But overall, an interesting beer, this one. And if you like, it's almost, this beer is almost a combination between like a sour beer and a Belgian pale ale, kind of something like that. It's got some really interesting qualities to it. It's quite different from any other sort of, I think it said on Rate Beer this one was an American style pale ale. But it's quite different from any other American style pale ale that I've tried before anyway. But overall, quite an interesting one, and I do recommend that you have a go at this beer. It's an interesting one, and as I say, it's always cool to try different beers from different places. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. A 4.7% American style pale ale with a Belgian yeast strain from Berlin. Quite a bit of a mouthful, that one. But yeah, an interesting beer, this one, and I definitely look forward to trying more from this brewery. I do have one more beer that I'll review from these guys fairly soon. But yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. So this one was the Thirsty Lady, 4.7% pale ale from Heidenpeters from Market Hall 9, in Berlin in Germany. Really interesting beer, this one, and I'm glad that I got to review it. It's always cool to try different beers from different places. So until the next time, slange just now, and I will catch you guys very soon. Skål, Prost.